Hello, I'm Ifeanya Kiriakaku.
And I'm Kyle Margolis. Today on the Badger Report, we'll catch you up on a busy week in Madison, including a spike in crime near campus.
And coming up next in the Badger Report, find out how one Madison company is finding closure after a long battle with pollution.
And later, you may have been wondering, where is the snow? Alana will let us know if it's coming our way.
Coming up in sports, we'll take a look at what sets Wisconsin tight end Troy Fumagalli apart from the crowd.
From Vilas Hall on the UW-Madison campus, this is the Badger Report.
Madison police saw a 65% jump this year in crime on the 600th block of University Ave.
City officials have made changes to make this area safer for UW-Madison students and late-night bargoers. I talked to some who say there's more work to be done to discourage violence. The 600 block on University Avenue is home to some of Madison's most popular bars, including the W, Church Key, and Liquid. On the weekend, students of UW-Madison can be seen frequenting the area.
Oh, I definitely go to the 600 block for a night out. I got some margaritas, some mixed drinks, and I really think I'd feel safe in that area even if there was less police monitoring.
I have noticed an increase in police presence here, and I don't know why there is, because there seems to be no problem here usually.
I live on Gilman Street, and my apartment window got broken into a few weeks ago, and there's always a lot of noise outside and people loitering.
The Madison Police Department has increased its patrol in the area in response to a rise in criminal activity. Captain Jason Friedman of the MPD believes this activity is gang-related.
We don't believe there's a gang war, but what we are seeing is that if I'm a gang member from one part of town or from out of town, where am I going to go late on a Friday or Saturday night? There aren't very many places to go in Madison, so I'm going to go downtown.
Despite the increase in criminal activity, city officials have joined forces with bar owners to combat the issue. Possible solutions include more lighting, improved private security, and the implementation of a universal ID scanner.
My hope is that the strategies that we're all working on will collectively be so meaningful that we can have this culture change where this is not an activity that goes on another 5 or 10 years every weekend night.
With colder weather approaching, city officials hope the criminal activity tapers off. Officials have been meeting recently to determine ways that they can lower the amount of crime.
The University of Wisconsin of Madison Police Department is seeking feedback in their biannual campus survey. The survey was sent out in an email to all students, faculty, and staff and is looking to see how safe people feel on campus and what areas of safety they think UWPD should focus on in the coming year. The survey must be completed by Friday, December 22nd.
With 51 Republican votes, the U.S. Senate passed one of the largest tax bills in recent history, hoping to cut taxes by $1.5 trillion for businesses and individuals.
The House version of the bill has many graduate students worried. The Badger Report's Philip Brzezinski has more.
The House plan would repeal a section of the tax code which would treat tuition waivers for grad students as taxable income.
They never see a tuition remission as income. The university doesn't give them money then to pay tuition. It's just the university just pays their tuition.
Graduate students across the country are worried about this provision passing and have been walking out of their classes in protest.
I'm already losing 35 grand, more than half of what I'm making to go back to grad school. And then on top of that, I'm going to get taxed for money that I don't even bring home.
Many graduate students, including current and those planning on attending in the future, are concerned that graduate school may become unaffordable for them.
To negatively impact that really would crush our ability as a country to make economic gains and to make intellectual gains as well.
The Teaching Assistants Association has been holding seminars teaching students how to call senators and representatives and what to say. Their hope is to encourage congressmen to reconsider this provision.
Calling your senators and your representatives in the House is really the best thing we can do at the moment.
We tried contacting several of the Wisconsin representatives, but none were available for comment on the story. The Senate and the House both passed their own version of the bill and are now discussing what the final version should look like and are hoping to pass it before the holidays. For the Badger Report, this is Philip Rudnitsky.
The UW-Madison scholarship funds could be in jeopardy if the Senate version of the GOP tax bill becomes law. The Senate version includes a provision that would make revenue made for the Badger apparel taxable. The $1 to $2 million annual revenue is used to fund scholarships for low-income students. If this provision was implemented, it would reduce the amount of scholarships given out. The House and Senate will soon come together to create one bill. There is no set date for the final vote.
Incoming freshmen will see a new charge on their housing bill. Starting next year, UW-Madison housing residents will be required to deposit at least $1,400 per year to spend only at dining facilities. This minimum is a change from the current a la carte system. Following the release of this policy, a petition has been circulating in opposition. The Associated Students of Madison have also released a statement against the implementation of this policy.
The Taco Bell Cantina coming to State Street had its liquor license approved by the Madison City Council despite concern from council members and the Madison Police. It was approved for a wine and beer license only and will stop serving alcohol 10 p.m. during the week and 11 p.m. during the weekend. The State Street location will also be taking added security measures in and outside of the restaurant with 17 cameras. This will be the 8th Taco Bell Cantina in the United States.
Members of the Native American community gathered in protest against police violence after a young man's death on a reservation. The Badger Report's Dan Chinitz has more.
Justice for Jason! Justice for Jason!
Jason Perot was shot by police on his family's reservation in northern Wisconsin. People are now demanding justice.
This is part of our history of white supremacy and colonialism in the United States. And this is a continuum of violence. Native Americans are more likely to be shot by police than any other racial or ethnic group. This is the 19th shooting this year. We need to stop this. We can no longer subject our people of color to police violence the way we have been. This is unacceptable.
Here at the Wisconsin Department of Justice, where protesters for Jason Perot's case just met, we bring into question Public Law 280, a law that allows jurisdiction for law enforcement to be allowed onto Native American reservations.
On the Bad River Reservation, Public Law 280 was in effect, and so the state has civil jurisdiction over our reservation when it comes to certain laws, certain major crimes.
He loved his family, I guess just loved his culture. That was for a definite one. He was just a sweetie. I mean, we called him Baby J for a reason.
From the Badger Report, I'm Daniel Chinitz.
Net neutrality has been a pressing issue for several years now and has gotten significant attention in recent months.
The concept itself can be confusing, and there's a lot that comes with making decisions on net neutrality policy. The Badger Report's Lisa Milter joined us on set to explain more about net neutrality.
Well, you may have heard that the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, will be voting soon on possibly repealing net neutrality. I investigated what that exactly means for internet users across America.
Last week, the FCC announced they would roll back net neutrality policies put in place by the Obama administration.
Net neutrality itself is the principle that traffic that you're browsing on the internet will not be impeded by your internet service provider.
People who worry about a non-neutral net worry that there's not going to be that sort of commitment to equality and to common service to everyone.
This issue mostly affects regions that have a small variety of internet providers and people who don't have the means to afford better internet access.
There's a huge impact if you're trying to develop a startup business, because this essentially stifles innovation.
We could end up with higher prices. We could end up with sites that you used to be able to access that you can't access anymore.
Although many people are calling for a delay on the net neutrality vote, it is still currently scheduled for Thursday, December 14th.
So Lisa, what are people doing in the meantime leading up to the vote next week?
Well, many people have been calling their senators and congresspeople, either encouraging or discouraging the repeal of net neutrality. There are also some protests planned across the country, so we'll see the impact they make.
Thank you, Lisa.
Up next, how pollution cleanup efforts are affecting the surrounding community.
And later, Badger football's Troy Fumagalli is unique in college football in a number of ways. Find out how.
After years of cleanup, the Madison KIPP Corporation has agreed to settle a lawsuit over toxic soil pollution in their Atwood facility.
The company will have to pay $350,000, but can postpone further cleanup indefinitely. For more, Amos Mayberry has the story.
Kids playing outside the Goodman Community Center is a common sight on the west side of Madison, but nearby stands one of the oldest factories in the city, with a history of pollution that may still be a concern for the neighborhood today. Last week, the Madison KIPP Corporation settled a 2012 lawsuit over toxic soil pollution on their property. The settlement with the state will cost KIPP $350,000. Becky Steinhoff, executive director of the Goodman Community Center, said she is very aware of the concerns and oversaw the attempts to clean up the site.
Because of our use and because we work with kids in the community, we wanted to make sure we took all of that out.
Walking down the Capital City bike path, you really get a perspective on how close these two locations are. To my right, the Goodman Community Center, and to my left, Madison KIPP Corporation. Madison KIPP has already removed 50 tons of soil containing toxins, but some say this is not enough.
I think it's always seemed to be like a day late and the dollar short.
Steve Klofka, an environmental engineer that lives a few blocks from the site, said pollution may still be in and around the Madison KIPP facility.
Within under the factory are some of the highest concentrations and haven't quite figured out where they're going.
Steinhoff said she is confident in Madison KIPP's cleanup efforts.
KIPP is being open and communicating.
Klofka says there are still concerns about the pollution coming from the Madison KIPP facility, and it is important to continue testing.
Where is it? How did it get there? And have a plan to clean it up. And I don't think we're there yet.
For the Badger Report, I'm Amos Mayberry.
HIV and AIDS is a worldwide epidemic that is affecting Wisconsin in new ways. UW Health is combating these new challenges with community conversation. The Badger Report's Alana Conley has more.
Every year, December 1st marks World AIDS Day. This year, community members attended an event hosted by UW Health to celebrate the victories and discuss new challenges of the disease.
I came all the way up here today from Denver because I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're here, that we're more than just a number, that there's so much learning that we can do between young folks and older folks, and that young people of color and people of color in general want a seat at the table.
Although newly diagnosed cases of HIV in the United States have been steadily decreasing in the general population, among young people, especially those of color, the disease is on the rise. According to UW Health, in 2016, 2/3 of newly diagnosed cases of HIV in Wisconsin were in people of color, although they make up only 17% of the state's population.
We live at a point where our friends who are HIV positive or who are at risk of being HIV positive don't have to worry at the same degree as folks in the 80s and 90s. And there's a lot that we as young people can learn from people who have done this for decades.
We do not learn about tomorrow, but we need to continue to fight, continue to heal, continue moving forward.
For the Badger Report, I'm Alana Conley.
Temperatures have dropped below freezing in Madison, but the Henry Vilas Zoo is still up and running.
Yeah, in the wintertime, when the temperatures are cold, we're still open. We still have to be here taking care of the animals, and so our doors are open.
With the temperatures dropping, it adds some extra work for the zoo staff as well.
A lot of our work in preparing for the cold is just making sure that the heaters are operational and that the boilers are working, and that the animals that do require that additional heat, that we're set up with generators and backups in case there is a problem with our power supply, so that we don't ever lose the heat for the animals themselves, and that they do well through the winter.
Not every animal will be out and about. Animals such as the reptiles and primates are in indoor exhibits, while others are available for viewing during the winter. Despite the cold, the zoo doesn't think the experience is dampened by the Wisconsin temperatures. Even though not every animal is out and about in the exhibits, Vilas Zoo will have festive lights up through the new year for families to experience.
Yeah, I'll make sure that I make my trip over to the Henryville Zoo Lights. Up next, a look at how the largest ski and snowboard resale in the Midwest fares without any snow. There may not be much snow on the ground just yet, but there is still a demand for ski and snowboard gear. The Hoover Ski and Snowboard Club held their 54th annual resale last weekend, selling new and gently used equipment and apparel. The largest ski resale in the Midwest, the club was hoping the lack of snow would not impact their sales.
Last year, we did not have any snow. It snowed a little bit. We definitely saw the repercussions of that. So this year, I'm hoping that the marketing helped, got the word out, make sure people are aware. But again, can't change the weather.
So far, the numbers from the first day this year are up from the first day of the sale last year, meaning the lack of cold weather still did not deter potential customers.
Well, hopefully they can use that snow gear soon. We now turn to Alana Conley for the update on weather. Alana, any chance of snow soon?
Well, it certainly has been unusually warm this year. And while there's no snow in the forecast, this week's cold snap seems promising. Fall colors stuck around into December this year, with Madison's lakes so far showing no signs of ice. According to the Wisconsin Climatology Office, last year at this time, Lake Wingra was frozen over on December 9th, Monona on December 16th, and Mendota by January 1st. However, a cold front this week should give Wisconsin hope that snow is coming soon.
And Iffy and Kyle, despite an unseasonably warm end to November, December is starting to look like a Wisconsin winter. It may be a good weekend to stay inside and study for those finals. Today, under partly cloudy skies, we'll hit a high of about 27, with temperatures falling this evening to 17. Tomorrow, expect overcast, with temperatures only making it into the low 30s. Friday night, wear a coat if you're heading out. The overnight low is a chilly 12 degrees. Saturday, the sun will return, but the cold front continues. The daytime high will be about 25 and an overnight low of 17. If you're looking to get outside this weekend, I'd recommend Sunday. I'm calling for partly cloudy skies, but the temperature will get to a balmy 40 degrees. I think the overnight low will be in the mid-20s. Your outlook for the start of the work week will be more of the same. Monday, the clouds return with a high of 35 degrees and a low of 17. Temperatures continue to drop Tuesday with a high of 23 and a low of 10 degrees. And for those who enjoy snow for the holidays, there's nothing promising in the forecast yet, but I may wear a couple extra layers if you're headed to the library. Back to you guys.
Kyle, I'm really not looking forward to the weather getting any colder.
Yes, snow and cold weather certainly will make those walks to the library much, much longer.
Yeah, not looking forward to it. This was an intense week for Wisconsin athletics. Up next, the Badger Report's Jonah Malkin will recap UW-Madison's loss in the Big Ten championship game and the latest scores.
Also in sports, we'll hear from tight end Troy Fumagalli and take a look at his success despite some unique circumstances. Stay with us.
Well, unfortunately, it was a tough weekend for Badger football.
Our very own Jonah Malkin is here to tell us more.
Yeah, it certainly was a tough one, guys. Saturday night was a difficult one to swallow for Wisconsin football fans as the Badgers fell to the Ohio State Buckeyes 27-21 in a tight contest in the Big Ten championship game. While fans were certainly disappointed with the outcome, overall Badger fans still have a lot to be proud of as their team represented itself well and made history along the way.
This was the scene in Indianapolis as Wisconsin fans filled the seats at Lucas Oil Stadium and eagerly rooted on their Badgers against the favorite Ohio State Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship game. After climbing back down from a 14-point deficit, the Badgers found themselves within one touchdown of winning the game in the final minutes, but ultimately came up short and lost 27-21. While their playoff chances may have come to an end, the bonds forged throughout the season were something to remember.
The journey up to this point has been, great. Being around this group of guys, it's a special group. People who truly love to play football, come in here every day with a smile, and I think that's hard to beat. When you truly have a want to play for your brother next to you, it's a special thing.
Over these years, it's just been a tremendous ride, and I just think that playing with these guys and having this kind of success this season has been just a really good way to kind of top it off.
There was still plenty to cheer about this season as the team went undefeated in the regular season for the first time in school history. Head coach Paul Christ was the consensus pick for Big Ten Coach of the Year. Star freshman running back Jonathan Taylor won Big Ten Freshman of the Year honors, and senior tight end Troy Fumagalli was a finalist for Best Tight End in the country.
And this memorable season will continue as the Badgers will face Miami in the Orange Bowl on December 30th at 7 p.m. on ESPN. One player in particular that will be key to the Badgers' success that night is talented senior tight end Troy Fumagalli. During his time at UW-Madison, Fumagalli has had a unique experience in college football in several ways. The Badger Report's Madeline Westberg has the story.
Tight end Troy Fumagalli of the Wisconsin Badgers is exceptional in more ways than one. After walking onto the team in 2013 and redshirting, Fumagalli was able to rise to the top of the pack as a Badger tight end. The 6'8" senior became a team captain in 2017. Known for his abilities as a blocker and for having sure hands as a receiver, Fumagalli led the team in catches this season. And he's received national attention as a finalist for the John Mackey Award presented to the nation's best tight end.
Fumagalli may have some of the best hands in college football this season, but there's something very unusual about one of those hands.
When I was born, I had what's called anionic band syndrome. So my band got caught on my hand and I lost circulation. So I had my left index finger removed.
Fumagalli may only have 9 fingers, but he doesn't see it as a disability or a disadvantage.
Hasn't bothered me at all. It's just been something I've been able to adapt to, and it's part of me.
Even though Fumagalli doesn't see this as a disability, he has a message for kids who deal with challenges and want to succeed.
Yeah, just don't take no for an answer. You know, you think you can do something, go out and do it.
Fumagalli has contributed to the Badgers consistently while playing at Wisconsin. He's had 127 career catches, 1,596 career receiving yards, and 7 touchdowns. He hopes to pad those stats in the Orange Bowl. For the Badger Report, I'm Madeline Westberg.
The football team wasn't the only one to lose to the Buckeyes over the weekend. On Saturday, the men's basketball team also fell to the Buckeyes as they suffered their biggest loss of the season, 58-83 at the Kohl Center. Freshman guard Brad Davison did put up 16 big points, but the Badgers dropped to 0-1 to open up Big Ten play. Wisconsin did bounce back from that blowout loss to edge out the Penn State Nittany Lions 64-63 in Happy Valley on Monday, to earn their first win in conference play, and will take on Marquette back at the Kohl Center on Saturday. The women's basketball team also racked up a win over the weekend, defeating the LaSalle Explorers 71-60 behind 14 points from Kayla McMorris and Courtney Fredrickson. Following the win, however, the team traveled to Marquette on Monday and suffered a tough loss, losing 65-88. Switching over to hockey, the men's team split a weekend series against the 7th-ranked Minnesota Gophers, losing the first game but taking the second 3-2. Meanwhile, on the women's side, the team continued to steamroll their competition and retain their number 1 ranking after sweeping a 2-game series against powerhouse Minnesota Duluth and winning the last game Saturday 3-1.
Thank you, Jonah.
Certainly a jam-packed weekend in sports.
Yes, and coming up next, some unusual campus residents that live on the west side. We'll take a look at that.
Wisconsin may be known as the Dairy State, but what many people don't know is just how close the students at UW-Madison are to these dairy cows.
I actually went down to visit the cows on the other side of campus and get the story.
You might start to smell one of UW-Madison's hidden treasures as you get closer to the west side of campus. But what many people don't know is that the Dairy Cattle Center is home to roughly 84 cows and 1 student. UW-Madison is one of only 3 universities that keeps its cows physically on campus for research. They use these cows for a variety of research purposes, ranging from feed studies to milk sampling.
Dairy farmers are paid on 3 different things: milk production, protein, and fat are within the milk. So we do a lot of research on that aspect to see how that changes on the back end.
Having the cows right on campus draws many students to the dairy program.
So it's a huge draw for our animal and dairy science program. So students can come right from their classes, come down here. We got labs set up for them, different studies, vice versa. And then we also work hand in hand with the vet school just down the block there. They bring all their students here for all their studies too.
And for high school students wanting to make their decision on where to go to college, having the hands-on experience with 84 cows behind me is a very unique experience. For Caleb, coming to Madison's dairy program was a no-brainer once he heard he could live above the barn and manage the cows each day.
So it's fun to build a relationship with these animals, whereas if you're just in class, you're here looking them over. So it's nice to get a one-on-one with each different cow.
Tending to the cows takes a lot of work, so for Caleb, a majority of his time outside of class is spent with these four-legged animals.
Working here, it does take away from my social life, but cows are social, and I like cows.
As the end of the semester approaches, UW-Madison is gearing up for its winter commencement. The ceremony will be held at December 17th at 10 a.m. in the Kohl Center. This semester's celebration will feature a pair of television writers, Adam Horowitz and Eddie Kitsis. Here at the Badger Report, we would like to congratulate our seniors and wish them the best.
Unfortunately, that wraps up our last Badger Report for the semester. The show will be returning in the next fall.
I'm Kyle Margolis.
And I'm Ifeanya Kirikaku. Thank you so much for watching and have a happy holiday.